Hi guys, I'm Andrea, and today I'll be doing the controversial book tag, which I was tagged in by Emma from Emma Venture Reads. So thanks so much for tagging me, and sorry for taking forever to do this tag, but I'm doing it now, so let's get started. The first question in this tag is, what is the most controversial book you have read/owned and why? The most controversial book or I have read or owned is probably going to be 50 Shades of Grey, and I read this book. I don't actually own it because when I read it, it was at the height of its kind of entire controversy. I remember I read it because I had heard it had started from a Twilight fan fiction, and I was very into Twilight back in the day, very into fan fiction, so I was like, I need to check this book out. Is it even good? Blah, 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 blah. Read it. I was not surprised because I had heard how bad it was, and so when I read it, I was like, yeah, I don't like this, so yeah. Question number 2. What is a book with a controversial cover or title? I had to Google search this answer because I don't own books with controversial titles or covers, I think, like not any that I can think of at least. So I stumbled upon many interesting and offensive covers that I will be inserting here. But I think the one that caught my eye the most, I believe, is the cover of the book To Tampa. And I think compared to a lot of other ones, it could seem pretty tame. But knowing or seeing the cover in context with what the book is about, just, it feels weird, man. The plot of Tampa is this woman who becomes a teacher solely to groom and become kind of this predator towards young prepubescent boys. So knowing that plot and you compare it to the cover, it's like, I don't know, I just don't like it. Yeah. Question number 3. What is one of your favorite banned books? My favorite would have to be The Bell Jar, because I'm a very big fan of Sylvia Plath's writing and her poetry, and The Bell Jar is the only book she ever wrote. And I know this book was on the banned books list in some counties/states because of the themes it deals with. It deals with depression and suicide. And I really enjoyed this book because I think it's the first time I read a book in high school where I could really sense a connection with the character. It didn't feel removed. For example, when I read books that we were assigned in school, like Lord of the Flies or like Tom Sawyer, they felt like they were ancient, like so far from my own reality. So when I read The Bell Jar, I thought it was such a story that could happen to me, it could happen to somebody I know. It was a story that felt very almost familiar. So The Bell Jar is a semi-autobiographical book, and it's about this girl named Esther who moves to New York City for a summer to do this internship in the city at this big magazine, and she's just not interested in it. It's everything she's ever wanted. She was a writer, but she can't find the strength to care, honestly. And I don't know, there was just something in the way that Sylvia Plath wrote this book that really just appealed to me. The next question is, what is a book you bought/read after hearing so much controversy or constant talk about it? I have 2 books for this. One that I finished and one that I DNF'd. And the one that I finished is Ready Player One. I heard so much about Ready Player One probably around Gamergate, I think is when I first heard about Ready Player One, because some of the writing I heard is very like male-centered, like very weirdly framed, I guess you can say.
I would argue that masturbation is the human animal's most important adaptation. The very cornerstone of our technological civilization. Our hands evolved to grip tools, alright, including our own. You see, thinkers, inventors, and scientists are usually geeks, and geeks have a harder time getting laid than anyone.
And I had seen snippets of some of the excerpts of the book online, so I decided to actually read the book and check it out, and I did not like it at all. So that's a book that I read just because of the talk of it around it, and I agreed with the majority in thinking that it's kind of overhyped. The next book I picked up was Zenith by Lindsay Cummings and Sash Ellsberg. just because I heard so much about it on BookTube. So this is a book that I picked up from the library just solely because I saw it everywhere on BookTube for like a month probably. I just saw so many videos of that cover everywhere, so I decided to pick it up because so many people were saying that it wasn't good and then the writing sucked and all that kind of stuff. So I picked it up. I didn't finish it. The basic sentence structure of Zenith was just not there. I kept getting thrown off on the way the subjects of the sentences were being put and where the object and predicate and all that stuff were placed in parts of a sentence where I did not expect it to be. So it just threw me off and I couldn't finish this book because of that. And I think with a few more revisions or a few more drafts of this book, it could really improve. But for me, I kept glazing over the pages and my attention would just shift. So this was definitely a book that I DNF'd and I'm not going to finish. Number 5, what is a controversial book to film / TV adaptation? This can be anything from casting choices to plot changes. The Cat in the Hat, the Mike Myers one.
Dirty hoe. I'm sorry, baby. I love you.
Come on, Cat.
I mean, as a kid, I was scared of this film. The Cat in the Hat freaked me out so much, and Thing 1 and Thing 2 also creeped me out so much. I remember my cousins loved this film. My cousin, she would always play it. Every time I was at her house, she would literally always play The Cat in the Hat, and I hated it every single time. It was so creepy. It's like uncanny valley, I feel. It's too much for me, and it's obviously nothing like the book. And I think once that movie came out, like, Dr. Seuss's widow was super mad at it, and she like did something. She did something. I just remember it was a giant drama, and I think it continues to be a weird movie. I loved this film as a kid, and I still really appreciate it because I think it's funny. But that's Series of Unfortunate Events, the film version, just because it takes all the plots from all those different books and just smushes them together in one movie. And there's so many good actors in that film, but nobody was allowed to shine because they like just injected it with so many storylines that honestly deserves their own films and own arcs. But when I was a kid, this came out, I was like 8 years old, maybe around 8 years old when this film came out, and I loved it because I was very into A Series of Unfortunate Events when the film came out, and I loved it, and I really liked seeing the Baudelaires, you know, in live action form. But I can definitely see now as I'm older that adaptation was not good. Yeah, those are the questions of the controversial book tag. I'm gonna tag some people in the description box below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.